Trash like you has no business having children. The sentence cuts through the emergency room like a blade, seconds before the nurse's hand strikes her face. Destiny Morgan stands trembling at the intake counter of Riverside Memorial Hospital, 8 months into her pregnancy, gripping her swollen belly as pain radiates through her spine. The overhead lights buzz with a mechanical hostility that matches the coldness in Nurse Linda Carter, stare a woman who doesn't yet know she's about to destroy her own life. The emergency department at this hour carries the weight of human desperation. Antiseptic fumes mix with the metallic scent of fear. Cracked tile floors bear witness to countless midnight tragedies. Destiny sits hunched forward, her palm still covering the burning imprint on her cheek, surrounded by others waiting in silent agony. An old man hacking into stained cloth, a young parent soothing a fevered infant, a laborer protecting his damaged limb. Yet Destiny feels completely isolated in her terror. She pulls her threadbare sweater closer, trying to disappear into herself. Her wedding band glints briefly, a modest golden circle representing 3 years of love with Marcus. They'd worked overtime for months to afford their small house in Maple Grove, a peaceful street where kids play and neighbors still acknowledge each other's existence. Destiny teaches 3rd grade at Washington Elementary. Her students call her Miss D and gift her hand-drawn pictures of smiling families. She serves meals at the community kitchen each weekend and performs with the gospel choir every Sunday morning. Her existence is humble, meaningful, and unremarkable. Nothing about Destiny Morgan suggests she's connected to anyone with power. Behind the reception counter, Linda Carter commands her sterile domain like royalty, surveying peasants. At 43, she's spent 2 decades at Riverside Memorial, advancing from entry-level nursing to emergency services director through relentless ambition and strategic alliances. Her platinum hair maintains perfect order. Her scrubs remain perpetually pressed, her footwear constantly gleaming. Linda occupies a cramped studio in Westfield, 40 minutes from work. She operates a decade-and-a-half-old Toyota with corroded panels and malfunctioning climate control. Her refrigerator displays a collage of overdue notices, utilities, housing, vehicle financing. Each statement reminds her how inadequate her nursing income remains while watching physicians half her age pilot luxury vehicles to their estate homes. She observes administrators with business credentials making medical decisions from executive suites while she confronts the blood and bedlam on the floor below. Linda has discovered authority in tiny spaces, a cruel remark here, an intentional postponement there, the capacity to make someone suffer simply because she can. Tonight, as always, she controls the gateway between suffering and comfort, determining who merits which. The hospital itself mirrors the city's stark inequalities. Riverside Memorial treats everyone from tech entrepreneurs with premium coverage to street dwellers paying with wrinkled government cards. The affluent receive private accommodations and devoted attention. The impoverished get folding seats and suspicious surveillance. Dr. Rachel Martinez navigates the pandemonium with focused competence. At 30, she's finishing her emergency medicine residency, enduring 19-hour rotations for compensation barely covering her educational debt. She observes everything: how Linda's tone transforms based on a patient's presentation, the extended delays affecting certain populations, and the institutional blindness permitting bias to thrive. But residents don't confront senior nurses. Not when they need favorable assessments and career references. Miguel Santos pushes his cleaning equipment across floors with practiced efficiency, invisible to most personnel and visitors. He's maintained the night rotation for 9 years, providing for 4 family members on earnings barely meeting housing costs. Miguel witnesses everything occurring in these corridors. He recognizes which nurses demonstrate compassion and which display contempt. His spouse, Rosa, works in municipal planning downtown. Sometimes she returns with accounts of the young city executive who's been challenging the established networks, advocating for accessible housing and law enforcement accountability. Miguel has never encountered this executive, but he admires someone who defends working-class families. Security Officer Tom Reynolds patrols the passages with exhausted awareness. 24 years in law enforcement before transitioning to this less demanding position. He's witnessed sufficient violence to identify the precursors when tension begins escalating. Tonight, he keeps watching the intake desk where that expectant mother sits isolated, and toward Linda, who's grown increasingly hostile with each passing minute. The overnight rotation functions under altered regulations, fewer managers, reduced supervision, increased opportunity for those in authority to exploit it. And tonight, all these existences are about to intersect in ways none of them could anticipate. Destiny checks her device. 3:49 a.m. Marcus is likely still at municipal headquarters, wrestling with financial figures and legislative politics. She doesn't want to alarm him unless essential. He shoulders sufficient pressure already. She simply needs someone to examine her child, someone to confirm everything will be fine. What she doesn't realize is that everything is about to transform permanently. Destiny's cramping intensifies at 4:17 a.m. Acute pains lance through her lower spine like electrical shocks, and she detects moisture between her thighs that accelerates her heartbeat with dread. She's lost 2 pregnancies previously. She recognizes the warning indicators. Rising gradually from her plastic seat, Destiny approaches Linda's station for what seems the 100th occasion tonight. Her limbs tremble with each movement. The fluorescent illumination appears more intense now, more accusatory. "Pardon me," Destiny's voice barely registers above silence. "I believe I might be hemorrhaging. Could someone please?" Linda doesn't glance up from her monitor. Her fingers strike the keys with calculated sluggishness, each tap a minor act of malice. "I instructed you to await your sequence. But it's been over 3 hours and I'm genuinely frightened that—" 3 hours? Linda's laughter resembles shattered crystal. "Dear, some individuals wait the entire night. Perhaps if you possessed superior coverage, you'd receive expedited service." Destiny extracts her insurance documentation with shaking fingers. "I have Blue Cross, it's quality coverage. My husband's position. Spare the fabrications." Linda finally raises her gaze, her steel blue eyes frigid as Arctic waters. Every aid recipient in here carries some tale about their husband's excellent position. Let me predict, he's a supervisor somewhere, correct? Or perhaps management. Heat floods Destiny's face. He works for the municipality. We're not receiving assistance. We contribute our taxes and, municipal employee? Linda's voice drips with scorn. Let me estimate sanitation, road maintenance, one of those comfortable union positions where termination is impossible regardless of laziness? Destiny's hands reflexively shield her abdomen as another pain wave crashes over her. "Please, I simply need someone to verify my child is safe." The bleeding is worsening. Linda stands slowly, using her stature to dominate Destiny. "You understand what your issue is? You people believe pregnancy grants you special status. Think it provides the entitlement to bypass everyone else. The phrase, 'you people,' hangs in the atmosphere like toxic vapor. Other patients shift uncomfortably in their positions. Several retrieve their devices, detecting conflict brewing. "I'm not attempting to bypass anyone," Destiny says, her voice fracturing. "I'm just terrified for my child." "Terrified?" Linda circles the desk like a hunter stalking quarry. "You want to understand terror? Having to manage entitled individuals who believe the world owes them everything just because they managed to conceive." Dr. Rachel Martinez appears at the waiting area's periphery, having heard the elevated voices. She absorbs the scene, the pregnant woman clutching her abdomen, the head nurse looming over her like an avenging presence. The tension crackling through the space like electricity preceding a tempest. "Is everything acceptable here?" Dr. Martinez asks, her tone carefully measured. Linda pivots around, her authority challenged. "Everything is acceptable, Doctor. This patient is simply experiencing difficulty comprehending the waiting concept. I've been waiting 3 hours. Destiny appeals to Dr. Martinez. "I'm 8 months pregnant, and I believe something might be incorrect." Dr. Martinez's medical reflexes activate. "What nature of symptoms are you experiencing?" "Cramping, spinal pain, and some hemorrhaging." "She's being theatrical," Linda interrupts. "Trust me, I've witnessed genuine emergencies. This isn't one." Dr. Martinez frowns. "Hemorrhaging at 33 weeks is potentially critical. We should, at a minimum, conduct a rapid evaluation." "Dr. Martinez," Linda's voice turns glacial. "I determine triage priorities in this emergency department. You're here to treat patients I assign to you, not to challenge my professional assessment." The threat is explicit. Dr. Martinez's jaw tightens, but she's a resident. Linda controls her evaluations, her schedule, and her future. She retreats with visible reluctance. "Naturally, Linda, but if the symptoms deteriorate, they won't." Linda dismisses her with a gesture. "Proceed. I'm certain you have actual emergencies to address." Dr. Martinez shoots Destiny an apologetic glance before vanishing back into the treatment zone. Destiny feels hope evacuate from her body like water from a ruptured container. Miguel Santos pretends to clean near the reception station, his weathered hands gripping the handle tighter as he observes the confrontation develop. He's witnessed Linda intimidate patients previously, but never this viciously. His phone weighs heavily in his pocket. He knows he should document this, but hospital regulations strictly prohibit employee recordings. Linda turns back to Destiny with renewed venom. Now that you've squandered the doctor's time with your dramatics, let me clarify how operations function here. You sit down. You wait silently. You don't disturb the medical personnel with your paranoid delusions about hemorrhaging. But I am hemorrhaging. Destiny insists, her voice rising slightly. I can feel it. Something is incorrect. Lower your voice, Linda hisses. This is a hospital, not a street. Destiny attempts to comply, but desperation makes her courageous. Please, I'm pleading with you. Just allow someone to examine me. 5 minutes. That's all I need. Linda's face distorts with rage. Pleading? Now we're reaching reality. You believe that if you grovel sufficiently, I'll show mercy. You believe tears and begging will secure you special treatment? I believe basic human compassion should provide me medical attention when I need it. Destiny replies, her educator's instincts finally overriding her fear. The words impact Linda like a physical strike. Her face flushes crimson and her hands clench into fists at her sides. Human compassion? You want to instruct me about compassion? I want someone to help me preserve my child. Your child? Linda steps closer, invading Destiny's personal space. Let me inform you about your child. Perhaps if individuals like you contemplated before you started reproducing, we wouldn't have overcrowded schools, overloaded welfare systems, and emergency departments full of people who can't afford the consequences of their decisions. Gasps echo through the waiting room. Several patients retrieve their phones openly now, recording Linda's outburst. Miguel stops pretending to clean and positions himself where he can observe everything clearly. Destiny's eyes fill with tears, but her voice grows stronger. You don't know anything about me or my family. You don't know what we've endured or what we've lost. I know sufficient, Linda snarls. I know your type. Come in here acting helpless, expecting everyone else to fix your problems. Well, speculate what? Your problems aren't my priority. My child's life should be everyone's priority. The words suspended between them like a challenge issued. Linda's face turns violet with fury. She's lost control of the situation, lost control of her authority as she recognizes it. But instead of retreating, she escalates. Stand up, Linda commands. What? I said. Stand up. I want everyone in this waiting room to observe exactly what entitlement resembles. Destiny remains seated, confusion and fear battling on her face. I don't comprehend. You will. Linda seizes Destiny's arm and yanks her to her feet with brutal force. Destiny cries out as pain shoots through her spine and abdomen. This, Linda announces to the room, her voice carrying across the stunned silence, is what occurs when people believe pregnancy grants them the right to make demands. Her hand draws back, and for a moment, time seems suspended. Miguel reaches for his phone. Dr. Martinez reappears at the treatment area entrance. Security officer Tom Reynolds takes a step forward. And Destiny Morgan, elementary school educator and spouse of a man whose true identity none of them know, stands completely defenseless against the storm about to break over her head. Linda's palm connects with Destiny's cheek with vicious force. The impact sends Destiny staggering backward, her hand flying to her face as tears spring to her eyes. The sharp sting radiates through her jaw, but worse is the humiliation burning in her chest. The waiting room erupts in shocked murmurs. Did she just strike a pregnant woman? Someone whispers. Oh my God, someone summon security, but security officer Tom Reynolds stands frozen, his hand hovering over his radio. Linda is his supervisor's associate, part of the hospital's power structure. He's witnessed her complaints destroy careers before. Destiny staggers against a chair, her other hand instinctively protecting her unborn child. Blood rushes to her face where Linda's handprint blooms like a scarlet flower. You struck me, she gasps, disbelief making her voice small. Absolutely correct, I did. Linda towers over her, chest heaving with righteous fury. And I'll do it again if you keep pushing me. This is my emergency department, and you'll show respect or depart. Dr. Rachel Martinez rushes forward, her medical training overriding hospital politics. Linda, what are you doing? You can't assault a patient. Assault? Linda whirls on the young doctor. She was being aggressive and threatening. I was defending myself. She's 8 months pregnant and hemorrhaging. Dr. Martinez kneels beside Destiny, checking her pulse. This is completely inappropriate. Dr. Martinez, you're overstepping. Linda's voice turns deadly quiet. I suggest you return to your duties before I contact your attending physician about your insubordination. The threat hangs heavy in the air. Dr. Martinez's face flushes, but she helps Destiny back into her chair. I'm documenting this incident in my report, she says quietly. You do that. Linda's smile is as cold as winter. I'm certain the administration will be very interested in your version of events. Miguel Santos can't stay silent anymore. He drops his cleaning equipment with a clatter that echoes through the waiting room. I saw what happened. That lady didn't threaten anybody. Linda's head snaps toward him like a serpent striking. Excuse me? Did I request your opinion, janitor? No, ma'am. But then keep your mouth shut and do your job, unless you'd prefer to find a new one. Miguel's weathered hands clench into fists, but he has 4 children and a mortgage. He picks up his equipment with trembling fingers, his eyes burning with impotent rage. Destiny tries to stand again, desperate to escape this nightmare. I'll go to another hospital. I just want to leave. Sit down. Linda blocks her path like a prison guard. You're not going anywhere until I decide you can go. You can't keep me here against my will. Watch me. Linda pulls out her phone. Tom, get over here. We have a disruptive patient who needs to be restrained. Security Officer Reynolds approaches reluctantly, his face ashen. Linda, maybe we should just let her go too. Are you questioning my authority too? Linda's voice rises to a shriek. Does anyone in this hospital remember who's in charge here? Destiny feels wetness spreading between her legs. The stress and trauma are triggering premature labor. Something's really wrong, she whispers. I think my water just broke. More dramatics. Linda doesn't even look. You people will say anything to get attention. But Dr. Martinez sees the growing stain on Destiny's dress, and her face goes white. Linda, she needs immediate medical attention. This could be a life-threatening emergency. The only emergency here is this woman's attitude. Problem. Destiny doubles over as a contraction rips through her abdomen. She's only 33 weeks pregnant. This baby is coming too early. Please, she gasps. Something's happening to my child. Your child will be fine when you learn to behave like a civilized human being. The cruelty of the words hits Destiny like a physical blow. She's been polite, patient, and desperate. She's done everything right, and still this woman treats her like garbage. A young parent across the room starts recording with her phone. This is insane, she mutters. Someone needs to stop this. Linda notices the phone and storms over. Delete that right now. No way. This is assault, and I'm documenting it. Hospital policy prohibits recording security. But Tom Reynolds has had enough. Linda, I think you need to calm down. This situation is getting out of hand. Out of hand? Linda's voice cracks with hysteria. I'm trying to maintain order in this zoo, and everyone's turning against me. She spins back toward Destiny, who's now hunched over in obvious labor. This is all your fault. You came in here acting entitled, disrupting my emergency department, turning my staff against me. Destiny looks up through tears of pain and humiliation. I just wanted help for my child. Your child? Linda's laugh is harsh and bitter. Let me inform you about your child. Perhaps this is nature's method of telling you that some people shouldn't reproduce. The words hit the waiting room like a bomb. Even Linda's supporters look horrified. Someone gasps, "Oh my God," another person whispers, "She didn't just say that." Dr. Martinez steps between them. That's enough, Linda. I'm taking this patient to Trauma Bay 3 right now. You'll do no such thing. I'm the charge nurse and I'm a physician with a patient in active labor. Dr. Martinez's voice cuts through Linda's protests. Get out of my way or I'll have you removed. Linda's face contorts with pure malice. You know what, doctor? Perhaps you need a lesson in authority too. She grabs the nearest phone and dials hospital administration. This is Linda Carter in emergency. I need security to remove 2 disruptive individuals, a patient who's been threatening staff and a resident who's being insubordinate. Miguel can't take any more. He pulls out his cell phone and starts recording. Hospital policy be damned. Lady, you're crazy. This woman needs help. Put that phone away right now, or I'll have you arrested. For what? Doing what's right. Miguel keeps filming as Linda's composure completely crumbles. More patients join in the recording. The waiting room becomes a chorus of dissent against Linda's tyranny. This is disgusting, someone calls out. She struck a pregnant woman, another voice adds. Linda realizes she's lost complete control. Her face turns violet with rage as she screams at the room. All of you shut up, I have 20 years of experience. I know what's best for patients. You don't know anything. Destiny cries out as another contraction hits, more violent than before. Dr. Martinez checks her watch. The contractions are coming every 3 minutes now. Linda, I'm taking her to the delivery whether you approve or not. Over my dead body. For a moment, the two women face off like gunfighters at high noon. Then Linda's phone buzzes with a text message. She glances at it, and her face transforms from rage to confusion to growing horror. The message is from the hospital administrator. Emergency Developing in IA Executive Director Marcus Morgan is en route with a security detail. Prepare for immediate review of all protocols. Linda's blood turns to ice. Executive Director Marcus Morgan. But that would mean... She looks at Destiny with new eyes. Seeing past her simple clothes and exhausted appearance, the quiet dignity, the expensive wedding ring, the way she speaks, educated, articulate despite her fear. What did you say your last name was? Linda asks, her voice suddenly small. Destiny looks up through her pain. Morgan. Destiny Morgan. The phone slips from Linda's numb fingers and shatters on the floor. Executive Director Marcus Morgan has been all over the news lately, the young reformer fighting corruption. The man who's been investigating discrimination in city services. The man who's married to an elementary school teacher. Through the hospital's glass doors, Linda sees a convoy of black SUVs pulling into the parking lot. Red and blue lights flash in the pre-dawn darkness. Linda realizes she's been recorded assaulting and denying medical care to the executive director's wife. Her world is about to end. Destiny fumbles for her phone with shaking hands, each movement sending fresh waves of pain through her body. She avoided making this call all night, hoping she could handle the situation alone. But as another contraction grips her like a vice, she realizes she has no choice. The phone rings twice before a familiar voice answers. Destiny, what's wrong? Marcus ... Her voice breaks. I'm at Riverside Memorial. Something's wrong with the baby and they won't help me. The line goes silent for a heartbeat. When Marcus speaks again, his voice carries a weight Destiny has rarely heard, the voice of a man accustomed to being obeyed. Stay exactly where you are. Don't move. Don't sign anything. Don't let anyone touch you until I get there. I'm bringing help. Linda watches Destiny make the call with growing unease. Something about the pregnant woman's tone has shifted. The desperation is still there, but underneath it runs a current of quiet confidence, as if salvation is finally coming. 17 minutes later, the automatic doors burst open with a whoosh of cold morning air. But what enters isn't a worried husband and maybe a few family members. Marcus Morgan strides through the entrance like a force of nature, his presence commanding immediate attention. Behind him follows an entourage that makes the late-night A staff freeze in place. Police Commissioner Diana Foster in full uniform. Hospital Board President William Chun was in an expensive suit despite the early hour. City Council Andrea Vasquez is carrying a briefcase, and two news crews with cameras already rolling. Linda stands behind her desk, watching this parade of power approach her domain. Her nursing instincts tell her to be deferential. These are obviously important people. But her pride refuses to bow down. Visiting hours are over, she announces, stepping into their path with false authority. You can't just storm in here because someone called you. This is a medical facility with rules. Commissioner Foster holds up her badge, the gold shield gleaming under fluorescent lights. Ma'am, we're here on official business. Linda's confidence wavers slightly, but she doubles down. I don't care what kind of business you think you have. I'm the charge nurse of this emergency department, and I have final authority over who enters this treatment area. Board President Chun steps forward, his silver hair and expensive suit radiating the kind of power that comes from old money and older connections. Miss Carter, I'm William Chun, president of this hospital's board of directors. A flicker of recognition crosses Linda's face, but she's too far down this road to turn back now. Mr. Chun, I'm glad you're here. We've had a very disruptive patient tonight who's been threatening the staff. And where's my wife? The voice cuts through Linda's explanation like a sword through silk. Marcus Morgan steps past the others, his eyes scanning the waiting room until they lock onto Destiny, still hunched in her plastic chair, tears streaming down her face. Linda scoffs, her sense of superiority intact. Your wife? So what if you brought some influential people to intimidate me? Having important connections doesn't change the fact that she was being difficult. And, Miss Carter, Marcus says quietly, his voice carrying the kind of authority that doesn't need to be loud. I'm Marcus Morgan. Good for you, Mr. Morgan. That doesn't change anything. Your wife still needs to follow hospital protocol. And I'm the executive director of municipal operations for this city. The words drop into the chaos of the air like stones into still water, creating ripples of silence that spread outward until the entire waiting room falls quiet. Even the fluorescent lights seem to hum more softly. Linda's face goes through a series of expressions: confusion, disbelief, then slowly dawning horror as the implications sink in. The pregnant woman she's been tormenting, humiliating, and denying care isn't just another welfare case. She's the wife of the most powerful appointed official in the city. That's impossible, Linda whispers. She doesn't look like what? Marcus's voice is deadly quiet. Like someone who deserves basic human dignity? Like someone whose life matters? Commissioner Foster steps forward, her hand resting casually on her radio. We've received multiple reports of assault and medical negligence. I'm going to need to review the security footage from tonight. There's been a misunderstanding, Linda stammers, all her earlier bravado evaporating like morning mist. Mrs. Morgan the situation was I didn't know who she was. City Council. Vasquez opens her briefcase and pulls out a legal pad. And that matters how exactly? Are you saying patient care at this hospital depends on who someone is married to? Linda realizes she's stepped into quicksand with every word. No, that's not what I meant. I treat everyone equally. Really? Dr. Martinez appears from the treatment area, her face flushed with righteous anger. Because I witnessed you physically assault this woman and deny her emergency medical care for hours. Miguel Santos steps forward, still gripping his cleaning equipment like a weapon. I got it all on my phone. Everything she did, everything she said. The young parent with the recording holds up her device. Me too. The whole thing's already uploaded to social media. Linda watches her 20-year career crumble in real time. The security cameras have recorded everything. Multiple witnesses have video evidence. The media is already here. There's no covering this up, no explaining it away, no making it disappear. Marcus kneels beside Destiny's chair, his public persona melting away to reveal a terrified husband. I'm sorry I wasn't here sooner, sweetheart. Let's get you and our baby the care you need. Linda tries one last desperate gambit. Mr. Executive Director, there's been a terrible misunderstanding. If you could just give me a chance to explain. Marcus stands slowly, and when he looks at Linda, she sees something that chills her to the bone. Not anger would be better. What she sees is the cold, implacable gaze of justice itself. Miss Carter, he says quietly, the only misunderstanding here is yours. You thought power meant the right to abuse people. You're about to learn what real power actually does. The transformation happens instantly. Linda Carter, who moments ago ruled this emergency department like a tyrant, now stands before the executive director with her hands trembling like autumn leaves. Mr. Executive Director, please, she begins, her voice cracking. I had no idea who your wife was. If I had known, stop, Marcus's voice cuts through her desperate plea. That's exactly the problem, Miss Carter. You didn't think it mattered who she was. Hospital Administrator Dr. Helen Torres bursts through the A doors, still adjusting her hastily thrown-on jacket. Her face is pale with the kind of panic that comes from knowing your career is about to implode. She takes one look at the scene, the executive director, the police commissioner, the news cameras, and Linda standing in the center like a deer in headlights. Mr. Executive Director, I came as soon as I heard. This is completely unacceptable, and Linda Carter is suspended immediately. Board President Chun announces, his voice echoing through the waiting room. Security will escort her from the premises. Her access to all hospital systems is terminated effective now. Linda's face goes white as paper. You can't do this. I have union protection. I have seniority. You need proper documentation, and City Council Vasquez looks up from her legal pad. Actually, we have documentation. Hours of security footage, multiple witness testimonies, and video evidence of you assaulting a patient. The union won't protect you from criminal charges. Dr. Martinez steps forward, her medical bag already in hand. Mrs. Morgan, we need to get you to the delivery immediately. Your contractions are coming every 2 minutes now. As Marcus helps Destiny to her feet, Linda makes one final desperate attempt to salvage something from the wreckage. Mrs. Morgan, I sincerely apologize for any misunderstanding tonight. I was having a difficult shift, and I made some poor choices. If you could find it in your heart to. Destiny looks back at her, exhaustion and pain etched in every line of her face. You didn't apologize when you thought I was powerless, Miss Carter. You apologized when you found out who I was married to. The words hit Linda like a physical blow. Around the waiting room, patients nod in agreement. Miguel Santos puts away his cleaning equipment and pulls out his phone again, making sure he captures Linda's final moments of authority. I want her removed from this hospital immediately, Dr. Torres tells security. Clear out her locker, collect her badge and keys. She's banned from all hospital property pending the investigation. 2 security guards approach Linda, their faces grim but professional. Ma'am, we need you to come with us. This isn't fair, Linda protests as they take her arms. I've worked here for 20 years. I know this hospital better than anyone. One mistake shouldn't. One mistake? Commissioner Foster steps into her path. Ma'am, preliminary investigation suggests this isn't your first incident of discriminatory behavior. We'll be reviewing your entire employment record. As the security guards escort Linda toward the exit, she passes Miguel Santos. The janitor looks her straight in the eye, his weathered face showing no sympathy. 20 years, he says quietly. 20 years you've been treating people like dirt, thinking nobody important was watching. Guess you were wrong. Linda's legs nearly give out as the full weight of her situation crashes down on her. Not only is she losing her job, she's facing criminal charges, assault on a pregnant woman, civil rights violations. The videos are already going viral on social media. Her name will be synonymous with hospital racism. Dr. Martinez wheels a gurney into the waiting room as Destiny's condition deteriorates. We need to move now. This baby is coming whether we're ready or not. As Marcus helps his wife onto the gurney, Commissioner Foster signals to her officers. I want this entire incident documented, every witness statement, every piece of video evidence, every security recording. And I want charges filed within 24 hours. The automatic doors close behind Linda with a final whoosh, cutting her off from the world she'd controlled for 2 decades. Through the glass, she can see the news crews setting up their equipment, preparing to tell the story of her downfall to the entire city. Inside the ER, normalcy begins to return. Dr. Martinez takes charge of Destiny's scare with the kind of competence and compassion that should have been shown hours ago. Other staff members whisper among themselves, sharing stories they'd never dared tell before about Linda's previous behavior. Miguel picks up his cleaning equipment and returns to his work, but there's a spring in his step that wasn't there before. Justice, real justice, has finally come to Riverside Memorial's emergency department. And for the first time in 20 years, the night shift operates without fear. Marcus holds Destiny's hand as they rush toward the delivery room. Everything's going to be okay now, he whispers. You're safe. Our baby's going to be safe. Outside in the parking lot, Linda sits in her car, staring at her terminated employee badge, wondering how her world collapsed so completely in the span of 17 minutes. The answer is simple. It had been collapsing for 20 years. Tonight, someone finally noticed. 3 weeks later, the investigation into Linda Carter has become a citywide reckoning. What started as one incident in an emergency room has peeled back layers of institutional discrimination that stretch back decades. District Attorney Carmen Rodriguez sits in her downtown office, surrounded by boxes of evidence that paint a disturbing picture. Her desk is covered with complaint forms, witness statements, and video recordings that tell the same story over and over. Linda Carter has been a predator in scrubs for years. 52 formal complaints, she tells her assistant, flipping through a thick folder. 52 times patients tried to report discriminatory treatment, and every single complaint was either dismissed or buried in bureaucratic red tape. The evidence is overwhelming. Security footage from multiple dates shows Linda deliberately delaying care for minority patients. Recorded conversations where she makes racist comments to other staff members. Testimony from former colleagues who were too afraid to speak up until now. Dr. Aaron Washington, a black physician who left Riverside Memorial 3 years ago, finally breaks his silence. Linda made my life hell, he tells investigators. She would forget to notify me about emergency cases, delay test results for my patients, and even spread rumors about my competence. I knew it was because of my race, but proving it seemed impossible. The hospital's own records reveal a damning pattern. Under Linda's supervision, Black and Hispanic patients waited an average of 2.5 hours longer for treatment than white patients with identical symptoms. Complaint resolution times followed the same racial disparities. Pain medication was prescribed less frequently to minority patients regardless of medical need. Hospital Board President William Chun calls an emergency meeting as the scope of the cover-up becomes clear. How did we miss this for 20 years, he demands. But the answer is uncomfortable. They didn't miss it, they ignored it. Former Administrator Dr. Richard Torres, Helen's predecessor, admits under oath that he received multiple warnings about Linda's behavior. She was efficient, experienced, and the emergency department ran smoothly under her supervision. We chose to focus on those metrics rather than investigate discrimination claims that seemed subjective. The Federal Department of Justice launches its own investigation, sending a team of civil rights attorneys to review every aspect of Riverside Memorial's operations. What they find shocks even seasoned investigators. This wasn't just one rogue employee, explains FBI agent Carlos Ruiz as he briefs the media. This was systemic institutional failure. Multiple levels of management knew about discriminatory practices and chose to enable them rather than address them. The criminal trial begins 3 months after Destiny's baby is born. Hope Morgan entered the world healthy despite her premature arrival. But the trauma her mother endured has left lasting scars on the entire family. Prosecutor Carmen Rodriguez presents a methodical case that destroys any sympathy for Linda. Video after video shows her treating patients with contempt based solely on their race. The courtroom gasps when Miguel Santos's phone footage plays, showing Linda's assault on a pregnant woman in crystal-clear detail. Linda's defense attorney, Gregory Mason, attempts multiple strategies. He argues she was overworked and stressed. He claims Destiny was aggressive and threatening. He suggests the racial discrimination allegations are exaggerated by opportunistic complainants seeking settlements. Every defense crumbles under the weight of evidence. Dr. Rachel Martinez takes the stand and destroys Linda's credibility with clinical precision. She told me this patient wasn't a priority because of her race and social status. When I tried to provide medical care, she threatened my career. She put personal prejudice above a patient's life. Miguel Santos's testimony electrifies the courtroom. His weathered hands shake as he describes years of watching Linda's cruelty. I saw her make people wait in pain because she didn't like the color of their skin. I saw her refuse wheelchairs to elderly black folks while giving them to younger white patients. 20 years I watched and nobody would listen to a janitor. The trial becomes a focal point for national discussions about healthcare equity. Medical schools across the country begin reviewing their curricula. Nursing boards examine their disciplinary procedures. Hospital systems implement real-time monitoring for bias in patient care. Judge Patricia Reynolds listens to weeks of testimony with growing disgust. During sentencing, she addresses Linda directly. Ms. Carter, your actions represent not just individual prejudice, but the institutional failure that enables such prejudice to flourish. You abused a position of trust while vulnerable people sought help in their darkest moments. Linda's sentence reflects the severity of her crimes. 21 months in federal prison for civil rights violations, complete loss of her nursing license, a $60,000 fine, and 600 hours of community service in minority healthcare clinics. The civil judgment awards the Morgan family $2.7 million in damages. But the real victory comes in systematic change. Riverside Memorial faces a $17 million federal settlement and 5 years of federal oversight. The hospital must implement comprehensive bias training, diversify its leadership, establish an independent patient advocacy office, and submit to regular audits of care disparities by race. The Destiny Morgan Healthcare Equity Act passes through the state legislature with bipartisan support. The law requires all healthcare facilities to track and report patient care metrics by race, mandates bias training for all medical staff, and establishes an anonymous reporting system for discrimination complaints. 27 other states have introduced similar legislation. Nursing boards nationwide add discrimination as grounds for automatic license revocation. Medical licensing exams begin to include questions about implicit bias and cultural competency. Dr. Rachel Martinez is promoted to Chief of Emergency Medicine at Riverside Memorial, becoming the youngest person ever to hold the position. Her first act is implementing a patient advocate program that ensures no one waits alone in pain ever again. Miguel Santos receives recognition from the Executive Director's Office for his courage in documenting Linda's crimes. His video evidence became a training tool used in hospitals across the country to teach staff about the importance of speaking up against discrimination. The ripple effects continue spreading. Hospital systems nationwide review their complaint procedures. Federal grants for healthcare facilities become tied to demonstrated equity in patient outcomes. Anonymous bias reporting systems become standard practice. Linda Carter begins serving her sentence at a minimum security federal prison where she participates in mandatory bias education programs. She writes letters of apology to former patients, though many remain undelivered at the request of the recipients. But perhaps the most important change is cultural. The video of Linda's assault on Destiny Morgan has been viewed millions of times, becoming a stark reminder that discrimination in healthcare isn't just morally wrong, it's criminal. Healthcare workers across the country now think twice before letting bias influence their treatment decisions. They remember Linda Carter, and they remember that someone is always watching. Justice, it turns out, has a very long memory. 6 months later, Destiny Morgan sits in her sunlit living room, cradling baby Hope against her chest. The infant's tiny fingers wrap around Destiny's thumb with surprising strength. Afternoon light streams through lace curtains, casting gentle shadows across family photos that now include their newest member. Marcus reads from his tablet, scrolling through news coverage of healthcare reforms. Another state just passed the Morgan Act, he says quietly. That makes 29 states now requiring bias monitoring in hospitals. Destiny adjusts Hope's blanket, her voice soft with reflection. I never wanted to be the center of attention. I just wanted my baby to be safe. But if what happened to me helps other families avoid the same trauma, then maybe some good came from it. The changes have been profound and lasting. Riverside Memorial Hospital has become a model for equitable healthcare. The waiting room where Destiny suffered now displays a plaque dedicated to patient dignity. New policies ensure every person receives compassionate care regardless of race or income. Dr. Rachel Martinez's voice echoes through the hospital during shift changes, reminding staff of their oath to Fino, no harm. Patient satisfaction scores have reached record highs across all demographics. The culture of fear Linda fostered has been replaced by genuine care and accountability. Miguel Santos still works nights but now volunteers as a patient advocate. His hands that once gripped a mop in frustration now comfort frightened families. Everyone deserves to be treated like somebody important, he tells new staff during orientation. Federal oversight has yielded remarkable results. Wait time disparities by race have been eliminated. Pain management protocols are standardized and bias-free. The anonymous reporting system has prevented dozens of potential discrimination cases through early intervention. Across the country, the Destiny Morgan effect continues to ripple through healthcare systems. Nursing schools require cultural competency courses. Medical boards conduct surprise equity audits. Hospital administrators know discrimination isn't just morally wrong, it's financially and legally catastrophic. Linda Carter serves her sentence quietly, participating in bias education programs she wishes had existed 20 years ago. Her case study is taught in ethics classes, a cautionary tale about unchecked prejudice destroying both victims and perpetrators. The Morgan family established the Hope Morgan Scholarship Fund, supporting minority students pursuing healthcare careers. They quietly use settlement money to ensure the next generation of medical professionals reflects community diversity. Destiny has returned to teaching with a new perspective on advocacy. Her students still call her Miss D, but now she also speaks at medical conferences about patient experience. Her quiet strength has become a powerful voice for healthcare equity. Looking directly into a documentary camera, Destiny speaks with the authority of someone who survived injustice and created lasting change. Discrimination in healthcare isn't rare, it's just rarely recorded. Every patient deserves dignity regardless of race, income, or who they know. If you see injustice, speak up. Record it, report it. Don't wait for someone else to act. Marcus adds his perspective. Change happens when ordinary people refuse to accept extraordinary injustice. Linda thought my wife was powerless, but every person has power when they demand basic human dignity. The camera captures Hope sleeping peacefully, unaware that her traumatic entry helped make hospitals safer for countless other children. Statistics tell the transformation story. Healthcare discrimination complaints decreased by 65% in Morgan Act states. Patient satisfaction among minority communities reached historic highs. Medical schools report that bias and equity discussions have become central to curricula. But beyond statistics lies a deeper truth: healthcare culture has fundamentally shifted. The video of Linda's assault serves as a permanent reminder that discrimination has consequences. Someone is always watching, and justice may be delayed, but it won't be denied. If this story moved you, share it. Healthcare discrimination affects millions of Americans yearly. Your voice can help ensure Linda Carter's behavior becomes unthinkable rather than typical. Have you experienced or witnessed healthcare discrimination? Share your story in the comments below. What would you have done in Destiny's situation? Hit that subscribe button for Winds of Thought. We bring you more stories where justice prevails against systemic bias. Smash that like button if you believe healthcare should be equitable for everyone, regardless of who you are or who you know. Here is what we want you to think about. Linda Carter probably went to work that night believing she was just doing her job. She likely went home convinced she'd handled a difficult patient appropriately. How many other Linda Carters are working right now, convinced their bias is actually professionalism? And more importantly, what are you going to do to make sure the next pregnant woman who walks into an emergency room gets the care she deserves, regardless of the color of her skin or the power of her connections? Sometimes the most powerful weapon against injustice isn't anger or violence. Sometimes it's simply refusing to stay silent when someone's dignity is under attack. The story you heard today represents real experiences faced by countless families in emergency rooms across this nation. We believe truth must be told exactly as it happens, without sanitizing the pain, without minimizing the trauma, without pretending discrimination is rare when it's systematic. If you felt something today, hit that like button. Drop your reaction in the comments. And subscribe, because every week we bring you voices that refuse to be silenced. Stories that demand justice, and truths that change systems.